would you like to not have to worry about money, but rather just pursue your day and your dreams without worries of a paycheck? Pursue what you love, or even don't work. TME, ladies, gentlemen, I'm talking about financial freedom. That is breaking the slave of the monthly paycheck. Now, to do that, of course, you'll need to build over a course of time a big pot of savings. A big pot that earns you money, that earns you the money to live so that you don't have to work day in and day out for that. Now, the reason I wanted to share this, as when I researched this, they survey millionaires, people who have built that pot. And it's not people who went after a big score. They didn't buy Apple at $1 a share or Bitcoin at $10. Rather, it's a very different plan that requires simplicity but hard work. It's a plan that requires 3 steps. And before you engage in those 3 steps, I'd like you to stop for a minute and think about what that kind of freedom would mean to you. To me, it would mean seeing beautiful places, traveling the world, being time with my family, with my friends, and building those memories. You need to build the motivation, because it actually, instead of a big score, requires a lot of work. But it only comes in 3 short steps. Step 1, building an emergency fund. Things happen, people lose their jobs, people get sick. So having 3 to 6 months of savings so that if you get an emergency, it doesn't make you dive into your savings. That's your ticket to financial freedom. Be ready for the unexpected. Second step is very simple. Not easy, but simple. You save and invest money every month, and you never touch it. Now, when I get paid in the middle of the month, the next thing I do the next day is take that money that fits in my plan to reach financial freedom, and I send it off to the investment account. I cannot touch it. I cannot look at it. I cannot grab it. It is the money that gets me to that point where I have that freedom. Pay yourself before you pay the restaurant or your landlord. Take care of yourself first. And then the most important thing is it needs to build. It needs to grow. They have done study after study looking at data over the last 150 years. The most effective way is putting it into what's called a stock market index fund. Something where the banks don't take a big chunk. You just get a little piece of every share of the market. And whatever the market does, that's what happens to your savings. In Taiwan, that makes you about 8% per year, about the same as the US. Way better than anything else. Even better, yes, better than Bitcoin. Just wait. But that, over time, over decades and decades, is shown to be the most effective way. And you never touch it. Now, how does that simple thing, over time, build into that giant pot? The secret to that is actually in the math. It's a thing called compound growth. Anything that grows every year constantly by some percentage, that's compound growth. And what happens is you put something in, it gets bigger. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows. The faster it grows, the bigger it gets. It starts building on itself. And if you give it the time, if you give it year after year, it'll do what's in this curve. It goes, and then it takes off. It makes you more than you possibly could. Those people they surveyed who became financially free, they didn't do it by a big score. They did it by saving every single month and leaving it there and letting it grow and letting it build on itself. That lower light green section, that's what a person put in, who is investing $5,000 every year and letting it grow at 8%. The amount that it builds is way more important even than what you put in. Albert Einstein called it the 8th wonder of the world, the power of compound growth to build and grow beyond what you could imagine. But it takes time. So you may wonder, what's possible? Give me some, figures of an example of somebody who understood the power of compound growth. And her name is Mary. She knew time is really important. So she started when she was 20 years old. Now she set aside 400 NT dollars per day, or about 12,000 per month. For some people, that's a piece of cake. Some people, that's really tough. But I want to give you a picture of what's possible. She did it for 20 years, every single month. And it grew at 8%, just about what the stock market returns. And then she stopped saving at age 40. She retired 25 years later. How much money do you think she had? And how does she compare with her brother Bob, who did the same thing, but started 20 years later? Well, if you're married, you would get to retirement and you'd have over 52 million NT dollars. And if that's invested making 8% a year, she then has over 4 million a year to live on. That's what's possible with savings as small as 12,000 a month. That is the power of compound growth. It is the thing that few people trying to build that financial freedom really understand. They're always looking for the big score. She has 5 times as much as her brother Bob. That's the value of it being there a long time. Well, that's time for that. So to summarize, it is possible for many of you to build much more than you think possible. But it needs you to use the power of that compound growth. Invest every month. Thank you very much.